Hi, and welcome into Morning Drive. I'm Charlie Romer, and I'm thrilled to be joined by some of my favorite people. Rex Hoggard, Peter Jacobson, Bailey Mosier coming up in just a bit. But how about Sebastian Soderberg finishing off that wonderful round, 8 birdies and an eagle over in Sicily at Rocco's event? Rocco Forte, not our Rocco, right? Different Rocco Forte Open. But Rex, I know you've been on Morning Drive a ton, and I got to start with you this morning. We've had a lot of great co-hosts, a lot of guests come in, but I've never seen someone come to the desk with their car keys. I've never seen that happen. That's a Morning Drive first.
That is a rental. That is a rental set.
You worry about somebody stealing your car while you're doing the show.
I'm not a regular like you. I don't have a locker. I don't carry a little man purse like you do.
Well, I got to keep all my stuff together. So.
Well, it's the way he gets ready for rounds, right? It's the way we all get ready for rounds. So you're probably going to hit some golf balls before a round. I mean, you both played on the PGA Tour. You both have experience about this. Have you ever jumped out of a plane from 10,000 feet? Perfectly good plane.
No.
Get ready for a Pro-Am round.
Never.
Well, that happened. Check this out. Lexi Thompson getting ready for the Pro-Am round at the Kings Mill event yesterday. That's a SEAL. That's a Navy SEAL. And this is all part of a program that she's doing. She started something called the Lexi Legacy Challenge, which is going to team with the SEAL League Foundation. It's a great opportunity, but that is crazy. 10,000 feet, landed on the first fairway, walked straight to the tee and teed off. Charlie, you ever done that?
I have been in Snoopy 2, driving, I guess you drive in a blimp. You fly in a blimp over the Strip in Las Vegas. That's probably the coolest thing I've ever done. That's really pretty cool, but not anything like Lexi. How about you, former Marine? I guess you're still a Marine.
No, I'm going to help you out there. Not former Marine. You're always a Marine.
Always a Marine.
No, I never jumped out of a perfectly good airplane, but what we did is this thing, you hang from the bottom of a helicopter. Essentially, it's called a spider rig, and what they do is it's a rope, and they put a couple Marines on there, big weight on the end, and it punches through the forest and drops you off. It's terrifying. Didn't want to do it the first time. Don't ever want to do it again. Peter, anything like that?
I could have been a big weight.
I went a couple years ago, and we did the show Plugged In on the Golf Channel. Matt Greaser, my co-host, and I went down to Guantanamo Bay, and we went with Hootie and the Blowfish. And we had a chance to do everything down there with all the branches of the military. And we got on the helicopters, the Black Hawks, and we were going through the countryside down there in Cuba. It was the most exhilarating experience. I remember we could not get Darius Rucker out of the front seat, and we were hanging on the side, strapped in. It was quite a rush.
It's not like being in 26E on the flight going home, is it? Yeah,
No,
it's much more exhilarating. It's exciting.
You guys have just outstoried me. I've definitely lost. Really cool stories from you guys. Also cool to see Lexi Thompson making that amazing entrance. Well, something else amazing is happening this week out of the Byron Nelson. Jordan Spieth, who is the best putter on the planet, say many of us. He's changing putters, Peter, and this sort of came out of left field to me because when you look at his stats, the thing that he's really struggling with is driving this year. Driving accuracy is outside the top 100. So I guess if you're not making any putts, or if you're not hitting any fairways, it makes a lot of sense. Just go ahead and change putters.
Well, it does make sense. Sometimes as a tour player, you're looking for something. You're looking for a different feel. And as he said, he's looking for different a view for his alignment. I don't think it's a bad thing. I did that in my career. A lot of players change the view. If you think about it, your brain has little doors that open and close. I know you've got a whole hallway of doors that open and close. But as a player, you're looking for a different feel, a different look, and hopefully that's going to jumpstart you. I know he's had a good year already, but maybe that's going to help his driving. Who knows?
The only thing I can think of, Rex, is sometimes my computer gets all fouled up. And you just hit that reset button, the restart. That's the only thing that really makes sense to me is just restart everything, get a new look, and sometimes it does jumpstart your putting.
Well, sometimes as a tour player, you could find something on a Tuesday. It might not pop in for a week or two, but you might find something on a Wednesday on the last 3 holes of a Pro-Am round, boom, and that could take you to the championship on Sunday. Golf is a funny game. You can never, as they say, you can never own it. You can only rent it for a while. So you're going to go through these up and downs in a career, even in a week. So you're always looking for something that's going to jumpstart your day.
Well, the other thing that sometimes happens is you make that change for a week or two. Maybe you even change to like a practice device. I know you've done that some in the past, and you put whatever you change to after a week or two back in the garage, and then you go back to Old Faithful. Then you end up really making everything.
I would bet you that Spieth will go back to his Old Faithful. This is just a change. He says it's a permanent change. I question that. I've done it. We see players do it all the time. Sometimes it makes you realize how much in love you are with Old Faithful. A little change is not bad.
Well, and if you look at what he's done this season, we just showed the stats. He's 39th in strokes gained putting. He's been in the top 10 the last 2 years. And you brought up a very good point. He's not driving the ball probably like he wanted to. But when you sit and you look at second in greens in regulation on the PGA Tour, fifth in proximity. So it's not as though he's not giving himself looks. It's not as though he's not getting those opportunities. They're just not dropping like they have in the past.
Well, let's walk over here to Damon Hack's putting green, Peter, and we've got a couple of putters here that are pretty close to what Jordan has switched from and to. This is Old Faithful. It's basically an answer style putter by Scotty Cameron, and talk to me about that one a little bit.
Well, this is the traditional answer putter. When you go back to the old ping days, the answer. This has been a very popular putter used by a lot of great players in the game. This is not face balance. Face balance is if you put your finger about 4 or 5 inches up and it balances on your finger. A face balance would be like this, where you could rest something on the face. This has got a little bit of a toe hang. That's more promoting an arcing stroke. This is face balance. So what that's going to do, it's going to give you a different feel through the ball. There won't be so much face rotation coming through the ball. The other difference is, as you look at this face, you see there's so many more lines on this putter. And I think that's probably what Jordan's looking for, is a better opportunity to see his line. One of the things that happens, we're all different. Some players can line up perfectly straight at the target. I have a tendency to aim about an inch or two to the right on 10 or 12 feet. So one of the things that I use is a putter that has a lot of lines because I can line up. So I'm only speculating here, but I would assume that he's looking for an opportunity to improve his alignment.
Yeah, alignment will improve. The other thing is that sometimes when you go from this type of putter to that type of putter, you find that this type of putter has a little bit more stability to it. It doesn't wave quite as much, and that can be comforting, I think, for a lot of folks. I recently changed to that kind of putter right there, and I'm telling you, for the first time in like 20 years, I'm making a few putts. So it's actually made putting fun for me again. We'll see how long that lasts.
Well, you know, they say if you want to make more putts, just make sure you hit it close to the hole. But you do make a putt on every hole. For you, I know they're only short because you roll them up there and tap them in.
Thanks for the positive encouragement there, Peter. Rex, what you got for us?
Woo! Peter's going to be fun today. I like the way this is working out. All right, it is game day here on Morning Drive, and the PGA Tour champions get underway with their major championship season this week at the Regions. Tradition at Greystone Golf and Country Club in Birmingham, Alabama. And any conversation about that tour begins and ends with Bernhard Langer. He won this event last year by half dozen strokes. There you see his tee time. Those are Eastern times, 12:20 p.m. Charlie, absolutely amazing what Langer's continued to be able to do. 59 years young so far this season, 7 starts. He's got a win, 5 top 10s. If you look at this field, the one guy that I do want to talk about is John Daly. If you had to kind of fill in the blank on this, JD will win blank events this year.
Well, we know he can win because he's already won. He won over in the Woodlands in Houston. And I spent some time with John earlier this year. He said he's been hitting the ball great. He just hadn't made any putts. Now, he didn't really change putters. He just kept on doing the same old thing. And finally, he got some confidence with that putter. I think we're going to see him win one more golf tournament. I think this year he wins 2 events on the PGA Tour Champions.
I'm going to do one more. I'm going to say 3. I'm a big fan of John Daly and the way he plays. The one people ask all the time, they say, who's the most talented player you've ever played with? Well, you can start with Nicklaus and talk about Tiger Woods, but I think from tee through green, the most talented player for me is John Daly. If John can stay in his lane, and sometimes he has a tendency to deviate over into
That's a kind way of saying it, Jake. Yeah, I like that.
Oncoming traffic or maybe to the shoulder. I think if John can can keep it together, I think 3 wins this year is reasonable. Maybe even more. He's that dominating a player.
Quick follow-up. He finished tied for 15th at this event last year. Is one of those 3 a major?
I would say yes. I think he has the ability, clearly has the ability. Does he have the focus right now? Maybe he does because he's already won this year.
Charlie?
I just don't know. I can see him winning a major, but I just don't see it happening this year. I think maybe next year, if he continues to stay healthy, getting over the hump to win this first one is such a big deal. I think, you talk about John losing focus a little bit, that might be a problem for him. I hope it's not, but it might be a problem.
All right, happening now, the LPGA Tour is also playing this week at the Kings Mill Championship. That's in Williamsburg, Virginia. And it is a world-class field, Charlie. When you look at the top 3 and their Rolex rankings, it is impressive. You know Lydia Ko, the world number 1, very, very well. Go down that list. Su Young-woo is second. Very, very close, right behind her. 8.58 points. It's much, much closer than it is on the men's side. And then number 3, Ariya Jutanugarn. If you look at Lydia Ko, though, you have spent some time with Lydia. You caddied for her recently. How's she handling the pressure of being world number 1, and can she sustain that?
I got to tell you, she doesn't feel any pressure, and she just operates so differently. She said, listen, I don't check the website every day. There's not an 800 number that I dial to see if I'm still number 1. She just goes out and plays golf, and she's gone through a lot of changes with her game. Her swing this year, new instructor, equipment. She's continued to look for different caddies. I think she's got the right guy now, but she just doesn't put much pressure on herself, Peter. She just goes out and does her thing and does it very, very well week in and week out.
I think a lot of players put a lot of emphasis on being number 1. The media, we do. And I think probably being number 1 means a lot, especially you have incentive clauses in your contracts. But I don't think players, speaking for myself, I don't really care where I'm ranked in the world. I want to know how well I'm playing. Do I have a chance to win? And can I win again and again and again? Winning will take care of being number 1, and that's the most important thing to a player. And knowing Lydia, as you talked about earlier this morning, I don't think she worried about that at all.
She takes such a long view, Rex. She doesn't panic. I think sometimes the media from week to week will panic. Oh my goodness, she might not be number 1 next week. I don't think it bothers her one bit. She just wants long term. She's got her goals that she's set. As long as she's making progress, doing things that she feels like will get her to those goals, she's going to be just fine. And there's a great lesson to learn right there from the average golfer. You go out this Saturday and get a lesson. Next Saturday, you're expecting to break 90 or break 80 or shoot par for the first time. It just doesn't happen that way in this game, folks. You got to be patient. You got to have a game plan, stick to it long term, and that's how you ultimately reach your goals.
It is interesting that both Lydia and Dustin Johnson on the men's side, they have very, very similar outlooks when it comes to world number 1. Dustin Johnson doesn't look at the rankings. He doesn't care that he's world number 1. He feels like he's world number 1, and when he goes out and he plays, he certainly plays that way, but it's amazing how it just rolls off them. They're not concerned about it. Maybe Jason Day wasn't quite that way.
I think Jason Day, the only reason Jason Day has been up and down is because of injury. That's the only thing. When I watched him last week, he looked so good. And obviously the young kids today, they work on their body. They're in great shape, but I don't think they focus on being number 1. As I said, maybe there's an incentive clause in some contract that's going to pay him some money, but number 1, no big deal. It is to us, and we panic. As Charlie said, if somebody's not playing well, you're not going to be number 1. I don't think it matters to these players.
World number 1 in my book, Bailey. Bailey, what's coming up on the rest of the show?
Good morning. You're world number 1 in my book too, Rex. Well, who wasn't number 1 last week at the Players? Well, that was Ian Poulter. He finished runner-up. But this video from 2004, his ball accidentally went in the water. He sent his trainer in to get it out. Otherwise, it's a penalty. Why are we showing you this? Because yesterday in the men's college NCAA regionals, a similar situation happened. We're going to show you that video. A man, he stripped down to his skivvies.
Did you ever do that?
Yeah, I do it all the time.
Do you?
On the golf course.
I've heard that golf balls are expensive when I hit in the water.
Hopefully no one's around when you do it.
Yeah, they're not around for long.
Did you guys see the video?